The AFP says Maute terrorists are now abandoning their firearms and blending with evacuees to escape Marawi. Joint Task Force Marawi spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Jor Herrera said the terrorists are using their knowledge of the terrain in the war-torn city to slip out of the area. He assured that government forces are exerting all efforts to track down all those who have slipped out of this place. More on the Marawi clearing operations from Julius de Samburon.
The military sought the understanding of the public in the face of the continuing offensives against the enemies of the state. EOD personnel have been tasked to do the clearing operations to ensure houses and buildings in Ground Zero are safe from explosives. Aside from civilians, the welfare of cops and soldiers in the front lines is also a cause for concern, especially their protection against snipers and booby traps. Improvised explosive devices planted in homes have prolonged the clearing operations. Almost a month after the siege started, armed clashes between the government forces and the Mautes have been ongoing in Marawi City, which dwindled the number of terrorists down to more or less 100 left in the area. Preparations are underway for the rehabilitation and recovery phase as the provincial government finalizes the plans for setting up tent cities and providing a good water system by the time residents come back after the skirmishes have died down.
You also have to deal with the influx of residents going back, coming back to the area. So there's also a plan for that kasi the military wants Marawi City to acquire the ID system for the residents. So initially what the barangay captains are doing is to provide certificate for the actual residents in the city.
Also part of the integrated plan is the city cleanup, sanitation, and getting mass graves ready. The Crisis Management Committee said that aside from the reconstruction of damaged infrastructures, regaining Marawi's socio-economic aspect must also be tackled and accomplished through a multi-sectoral cooperation.
Meaning to say, capital investments are lost, paano mo i-invigorate ulit yung activity dyan sa loob, yung business activity, di ba? That's more difficult to deal with. Right. So it has to be aside from yung infrastructure na rehabilitation, it also have a plan for reviving yung business in trading dito, socio-economic life ng Marawi City, which I think would be much vigorous and dapat mas intense ang planning.
There is also the defense factor forming part of the recovery plan to prevent the siege from happening again.
How can you also put up a defense plan in order to again protect the community from attack, from future attack?
Isa pa yun.
Kasi we're talking of local born militant organization, terrorist organization, locally. So dito yung home base talaga nila. Naturally, pag mag-regroup sila, dito muna naman sila.
Tightened security procedures are still imposed on people coming in and out of Marawi City and the nearby provinces. Despite the daunting dangers, soldiers are bent on pursuing their mission and mandate to liberate the city from the hands of the unscrupulous elements. Meanwhile, 2 incidents of stray bullets occurred, one hitting a civilian and another boring through a van rented by a media entity that was parked inside the Lanao del Sur capital. For the Nation, Julius de Samburon, Marawi City.